Want the same expert advice you get from the pros in the store while shopping online at DiscountTire.com? Meet Treadwell, your personal online tire guide that matches you with the perfect tire for your vehicle. Get your best match in 1 minute or less with Treadwell by Discount Tire.
Ready to pop the question? The jewelers at BlueNile.com have got sparkle down to a science with beautiful lab-grown diamonds worthy of your most brilliant moments. Their lab-grown diamonds are independently graded and guaranteed identical to natural diamonds, and they're ready to ship to your door. Go to BlueNile.com and use promo code WELCOME to get $50 off your purchase of $500 or more. That's code WELCOME at BlueNile.com for $50 off. BlueNile.com.
For exclusive podcasts and more, sign up at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On, the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, and other podcasts. And this week, a very special episode. This is our 200th episode, and to mark the occasion, we're going to look back at some of our favorite moments from Crime Writers On. We'll revisit reviews from classic podcasts, games, milestones, things that made us cry with laughter and shed other kinds of tears. And we'll hear from you.
Bukus and bukus.
And we'll hear from you talking about us. Joining me to get that done is true crime author and former TV journalist, the man who said making a podcast would be an awesome idea, my husband, Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Kevin, do you remember how we got the idea to do this stupid podcast?
You mean how I got the idea?
Yes.
Well, of course, like everybody, we were listening to Serial, and...
Wait. We were listening to Serial?
You were listening to Serial.
And?
You tried to convince me to listen to it.
And for weeks you said?
And podcasts, I was like a lot of people. I wasn't listening to podcasts.
You were stupid.
No, and then I think you talked to me about it enough, and I was surprised that your radio station wasn't doing anything around it.
Right.
Because it's got a public media tie-in. And I said to you, we were in the car, and I said, we should do a podcast, and we should do it from our point of view as crime writers, and it should have the word serial in the title, and we should do it by Friday or we're never going to do it.
So, Kevin, why did we choose Laura and Toby to be on the show with us?
Oh, I don't know. Did we have to? The original idea was we were going to have a rotating panel, but we had them on, and they're local to us, and Laura also wrote a true crime book, and I knew her roughly, from being a reporter. We were kind of in the same circles. I can't say that we, knew each other at all. And she knew Toby. And the three of us at one point had been on a panel at the Exeter Library together. So it seemed like, it was a natural thing.
We started this podcast, about a little over 5 years ago, something like that?
Yeah.
5.5 years ago. 200 episodes in. Do you remember what we used to sound like at the very beginning?
I don't, but perhaps I should hit this button and we'll find out.
If you feel comfortable weighing in on this, that you can be like in a camp right now, if you've been listening to all the episodes, the Adnan is definitely innocent camp, the Adnan definitely did it camp, the Sarah Koenig, I don't know, camp. I'm just curious, what camps do you fall into? Laura, do you have an answer for that?
Well, I've come from the defense background, and I've kind of gone back and forth, and I think that's partly the way that Sarah's telling the story. I have to say, after this week, I'm back into I think Adnan isn't guilty, but there's definitely something that he knows about the case, and I feel like he has some involvement. I'm not really sure what yet. I feel like Jay is obviously more involved, and there's something with Jay's girlfriend. I feel like there's definitely a dynamic between her and Adnan that hasn't been fleshed out yet that I think plays into what might have really happened.
That's very interesting. Toby, what about you?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of with Laura in that, you kind of go back and forth as the series progresses. And right now, it just doesn't seem like it played out the way that, the trial made it seem like it played out. So that, if Adnan did have something to do with it, it didn't happen the way that Jay was kind of intimating that it did.
Right. Or intimating over and over again in different ways that it happened. Yes.
Exactly.
What about you, Kevin?
I guess I'm leaning more towards Adnan did not do it. And that seems really to be what the narrative is and where it's going. And I think that's where Sarah's, whether she means to or not, that's where she's taking it. At least that's, I think, what a lot of the listeners are in it for. The story that they're hearing is a lot of doubt, and then it kind of, goes back and forth, and there's some red herrings. But I think that, if we're going to talk about as writers, we really have to talk about where we think the story is going to end and what would be a satisfying conclusion. And of course, we don't know, and we're not dealing like what Toby does, where he can just write a really great ending. Where Laura and I are, it's kind of like it has to have a great ending. And so I think, a great ending in real life is Adnan walking out of prison. But that's probably not going to happen in the next 3 weeks, even if, the next episode blows the lid off of it, which is what I think all the listeners want to hear.
Well, we soon realized that if we wanted to keep doing our podcast, we couldn't just talk about Serial. That's when we changed the name from Crime Writers on Serial to just Crime Writers On.
And since then, we've been giving you our first takes on some of the best podcasts
and worst
TV shows and documentaries to come along since Serial burst onto the scene.
And this week, the CBC's Missing and Murdered looks at the unusual case of a native family looking for their sister who was taken from their home and died somewhere in the U.S. 40 years ago. And this week, we'll discuss the new chart topper about chart toppers. Disgraceland is the latest true crime podcast, but this one comes with a twist. We'll look at the very hot BBC America series Killing Eve. And this week, we'll look at HBO's real-life disaster series Chernobyl. We're getting cold. We'll look at the new investigative podcast from KSL focusing on the Susan Powell case. Then we'll dig into a podcast looking to expose the story behind a Kentucky political demagogue and the tragic result that coincided with that podcast's release. Then we'll talk about the podcast Bundyville, going behind the scenes of a rancher standoff with the federal government and the story behind it. And this week, the Netflix docuseries about that time those cult members took over an Oregon town and resorted to violence to keep the community built on love. We'll talk about Wild, Wild Country. We'll look at the latest from Dan Taberski of Headlong, Missing Richard Simmons, and Surviving Y2K. It's called Running from Cops, and it's right in the middle of our wheelhouse. The second thread takes place 3 years later and follows a pair of detectives who both happen to be women who realize the separate rape case they're working on may be connected.
And their periods sync up.
Jesus.
Oh my goodness.
What is happening?
The karma's going to be terrible on this, Kevin. The karma is just really going to kick your ass.
Kevin, it's funny to look back on our first takes on some of the greatest true crime content. They've become part of a canon of work, a great canon of work, the things we all recognize as the most important titles in the genre. And I like to think we had a hand in getting our audience curious about these shows.
Yeah, along the way, we've become tastemakers. And I think that we've had some strong reactions to things.
What did you think when you saw what Kaczynski had his investigator do in basically getting another confession from their client, Brendan Dassey?
I can't even. I almost can't even talk about this. It makes me so upset. I can't. This guy, I don't even know. I don't even have words for what he did to this poor young man. Watching this young man whose eyes throughout the entire documentary have this vacant, almost dead expression because he's just so limited. And to see an investigator who's supposed to be helping him go in and essentially act as an agent of the state. And then the part that just threw me through made me, my husband made me turn it off. You can see now I still can't even talk about it. It was when he called the prosecutor's office and sent this poor kid over to talk to them without an attorney. And even at the end, when he started crying on the witness stand, it made me feel like he had some sort of a personal connection to Teresa's family or something that was motivating him other than his duty to represent his client.
So we just heard Laura say that she had some affection for Robert Durst. I'll admit it, there were moments I did too. I think he delivered the best piece of dialogue in the entire series when he is asked, does he know why his brother Doug has hired a bodyguard? And what does he say, Kevin?
Because my brother's a pussy.
And first of all, I love Dirty John. I think it's a great podcast. That little piece at the beginning, I do feel is a little deceptive. I think it makes the surprise at the end greater. But if I was doing it, I don't think I would have done that. But it's a tough thing.
Somebody told me that they think this podcast is about it's a podcast about the worst parent in the entire world.
Really? This is what people are focusing on?
I'm telling you, I have pages and pages and pages of comments here of people either blaming Deborah or saying, I don't think it's fair to blame.
It's like watching Star Wars and spending a lot of time talking about why the stormtroopers can't shoot anything.
Well, I think
that is not the story.
But I think we are coming from a different place, right?
Yeah.
We actually wrote a book about a super bad relationship that went awful and wrong.
Yeah.
And
it's Dirty John. It's not Stupid Deborah.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. But
that's
also,
a good slogan, Kevin.
Yes. It's a good character study in a guy by the name of Dirty John. Somebody who was looking for the good life. And if he really wanted the good life, all he had to do was join First Leaf to get great deals on wine and learn more about what kinds of wines he likes.
Wow. There's a part in The Keepers where Jerry Koob, who was Sister Kathy's boyfriend / priest coworker, talks about being interrogated by police when he was a suspect in her murder. And he claims in the documentary that police showed him Sister Kathy's vagina wrapped in newspaper. All right, who wants to say something about that?
I'll go first. I call bullshit.
On him or on the cops?
Really? On him. Are you kidding me? They took out her vagina, wrapped it in a bag, and brought it into... I call bullshit on that. I didn't believe that when I saw it in the documentary. I thought it was fake.
What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I call bullshit too. I'm not sure whether it's the cops playing the worst good cop, bad cop thing ever.
Well, how would they have done that? What, gotten an organ from the butcher shop or something? And
just brought in, look, it makes no sense in the area. Why would they even have that as evidence?
Well, it's not.
It's not. I know. It's crazy. I'm just saying I wouldn't want to put my lunch in the same office lunchroom as wherever that vagina apparently was being kept whole.
What about you, Toby? What did you think of that? Because, you like me were very intrigued by Jerry Koob as a character, but that was really one very strange thing that he claimed, right?
Actually, I did a little research, and it's not that unusual.
What?
Wait.
Okay,
what?
wait a minute.
For cops to keep vaginas wrapped in newspaper.
So another decision we need to make right now, 2 seconds into our S-Town review episodes, right away we learned that the podcast is actually called Shit Town. It's not actually called S-Town.
I'll just say, that was a great kick. Right off the top. Finally, when they get to that, it was almost as powerful as This Is Crime Town.
Welcome to
it's
Shit
way more
Town.
powerful. Yeah. This is Shit Town. And all this time we've been calling it S-Town, and that was the first
code name?
great reveal.
Yeah. So can we all agree that we can use the terms interchangeably in this podcast, and we don't need to bleep it? Because if someone's listening to Shit Town and listening to us, they're already hearing the word Shit Town, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Decision made.
I'm uncomfortable with that.
I might call it Poop Town. I don't know.
Cacaville.
P-Town.
Poopy's Corners.
Oh, that's good. That sounds right.
East Turd Falls.
It sounds crazy if you don't know anything about owls. But the thing that makes this theory hold water for a lot of people is that this is something that actually happens. There have been other people who have been swooped upon, attacked by owls who, believe that they're picking up a piece of prey or whatever because, the hair looks like an animal that they would pick up. And they've sustained serious injuries that look a whole lot like the injuries sustained by Kathleen. And, that owls are on the prowl around that part of North Carolina. So, Laura...
It's fully ridiculous.
Why do you think it's... I want to know why you think it's ridiculous, Toby.
Because an owl attacked her, and she just ended up being left in the exact same situation that a woman in Germany who they knew was when she was murdered. It's just...
What do you mean the same situation? There's two people who found out falling down the stairs is actually a fairly common way to die, Toby. It's not that unusual to have somebody die by falling down the stairs.
It's unusual for one person to encounter two separate people who fall in basically the same way, one by accident and one through owl attack. That seems to me like that's some really crappy luck.
I will tell you that my sources say that the cops don't think she's living in Canada. You know, that some college age girl who wasn't smart enough to get away with buying subs with somebody else's credit card just started a whole new life as a secret agent in Monaco.
We uncovered some like weird factoids about
not about the actor, but about
the
Edwin
real life Ed
Kemper.
Kemper. Yeah.
Kemper. Yeah. Okay. So honest to God, while he was incarcerated, Ed Kemper took part in a program that recorded newspaper and magazine articles and books for the blind and visually impaired. Mm-hmm. And then during the 70s, this was the way that people would get stuff. And he was one of them. And he did like thousands of hours of reading 1970s novels.
Yeah, he was an audiobook.
In Time magazine.
Yeah, like narrator, right?
Yeah, he basically, before you could go to the store and get audiobooks, like this was one way that people could get them. Now, his performances are nothing compared to the great performances you'll find on every audiobook selection from Audible. I know, I went there.
You did go there.
Audible has an unmatched...
Wait, this is a real Audible ad.
This is a real Audible ad. Has an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from leading publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, and business information providers.
Wow.
Like right now at Audible, somebody just got up from a desk and started running down a hallway and is calling for a meeting. And they're like, what the happened on Crime Writers On? We used to be their favorite advertiser. We were their first advertiser. They give dozens of recommendations, and now they're setting the bar so low. It's like you could listen to one of these fantastic award-winning novels with award-winning narrative performances by voice actors and professional audiobook readers, or you could get something from a convict reading Flowers in the Attic on an old cassette tape. It's like you could read something from a statesman, right, reading his biography or her memoirs, or you could listen to the neck fucker. Read Wifey by Judy Blume.
Oh, God. In the episode before the jury episode, and that was the episode in which Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden went away for the weekend together and, spent the weekend, they spent that evening in the bar with his friends. And then there was that scene in the hallway of the motel where it really clearly seemed like she was waiting for him to make a move. And then he didn't make a move. And then he decided to make a move instead in the courtroom with the glove demonstration. What did you think of the way that played out in the show? And then what did you think about, how does that tie with your memory of the whole, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit situation that happened in the real life trial?
As far as their sort of almost hookup moment, I guess Christopher Darden writes about it in his, autobiography. But I thought of it as kind of sort of accentuating the fact that the two of them are kind of in it together in a way that nobody else can really understand.
They're working together, but they're slightly out of step. What were you going to say, Kevin?
Well, I was going to say that, as far as their relationship arc, that is the climax of their arc. But then you did see how, in the following action after that, how difficult the relationship got. And you just have to go back and think, if Chris don't get it in, the prosecution don't win.
Oh, God.
How about this one? I got another one. If Marcia don't want the D, then OJ will go free.
All right. You know what that tells me? It tells me we should not go out for drinks before we record this podcast. That's what it tells me. Kevin, what about you?
There's a better journalist out there than Madeleine Barron, but I don't know what her name is.
Oh.
There's a more impactful podcast. I just can't think of what it would be. This is an A+. It's on a level all its own. It's one of the few podcasts that maximizes the medium. It's a story that fills the space and uses all, it needs 6 to 8 hours of being told to fulfill it. It's prepared immaculately. You can't say they didn't do enough work on anything. So it definitely I agree with Toby. It's on the Mount Rushmore. It deserves to be compared with Serial favorably, but where it veers off from Serial, it's not a mystery journal. Mm-hmm. It's investigative journalism, and it's done extremely well. It's an A+ listen, just like the A+ night sleep I got on my Brooklinen sheets.
That's right.
That's right.
I'm sure Madeleine.
Hey, you got 6 people crammed into a small space, and at the end, all these people come out of this little small space. And that reminds me, it's almost Mother's Day. And this Mother's Day, show her how much you appreciate every job she does with this special limited time offer from 1-800-Flowers.com.
Kevin.
Yeah.
Do you remember before we had the support of ads, great advertisers, how we would pay the bills for the electricity and the equipment and the subscriptions we have to pay for and technical services to keep the show going?
Yes, it was Toby Ball's Amazon list.
And for those who don't remember, we used to have a link on our website that went to Amazon.com. And the purchases people made using our link, for those purchases, we'd get a teeny percentage.
Yeah, but we also would get a printout of all the items that people bought that week. So we thought we would have Toby read them the way only Toby Ball could.
Blood sugar support supplement. Advanced formula with gymnema and alpha-lipoic acid. 90 capsules. 100% money-back guarantee. Honey Badger Don't Give a Shit t-shirt. Funny parody shirt. Male, large. Asphalt. Lurway 3M rope LED light strip EL wire cable for Festival Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year, birthday party light. Pink. Assets. Red Hot label by Spanx. Sleek Slimmers medium control slip. Canine Semen collection kits for Al. Pack of 12 kits. Verback CET poultry toothpaste.
In our list of Amazon items that Toby read last week, one of them was this, and I quote, Canine Semen Collection Kits for Al. Now,
For Al?
now, I suspected when I heard Toby had said Al that it was actually AI, and I sent Toby a note, and he's like, yeah.
AI what?
AI, like artificial insemination.
Oh!
So I have a story about that.
No, I don't want to hear your story about artificial insemination with dogs. Honestly.
But it was horses, and I got out of the class. I actually opted out of the artificial insemination class. They had to get up at 6 a.m.
That was the reason you didn't do it? Because it was too early in the morning?
That, and it really
You would have artificially inseminated horses if it was on your lunch hour. Oh, my God.
Today I got an email, and I'm going to read it to you now, from Rachel. Hey, team. First, I really enjoy the podcast. I want to point out that because of the font Amazon uses, the capital I often appears as a lowercase l, as in Canine Semen Collection Kits for Al, when it actually is Canine Semen Collection Kits for AI, artificial insemination. I'm the one who bought the product through the link, hoping you would say it, so thank you. I believe it might not have been the weirdest item you read on that episode. Poultry toothpaste? Surely it must be poultry-flavored toothpaste.
Tell me she doesn't have a dog named Miggs.
No, she does not. No, she does not. And that is disgusting and clever at the same time. Everyone knows that reference, right?
No.
That's a Silence of the Lambs reference.
It's okay.
Oh, it is.
Look it up on the internet.
Don't look it up on the internet.
Put the biscuit in the basket.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on.
Lego City Prison Island. 60130.
Who would want their child to have that? Lego Rikers.
Lego Light. Do the little Lego guys have a little shiv?
This message is for Toby. Toby, my name is Molly, and I'm a huge fan of the Crime Writers podcast. So you can only imagine my excitement when one of my Amazon items was on your list last week. But I'm afraid you had some confusion about it, and I wanted to call and clear it up. My item was the Belle Fantasy Bamboo Bra. And probably to your disappointment, the bra is not made of bamboo. The color is called bamboo. Now, bamboo is a little bit of a shiny nude beige color. Really not that exciting. Anyway, I figured it was a little tiny mystery that maybe I could solve for the crime writers. Keep up the good work. I love you guys.
Newer, 6 feet, 183 centimeter, portable indoor-outdoor photo studio pop-up changing, dressing, fitting tent room with carrying case.
Betty Dane Fashionista Collection mold-resistant lined shower cap diva.
A shower cap?
But it's mold resistant.
It's mold resistant. Which
How long could you possibly be wearing it that you'd have to worry about mold?
Well,
You
we're
can
in
hang
New
it.
England. People are cheap here. They wear it forever.
It's true. You should see our shower curtain liner right now. It looks like a science experiment.
But if
So
you're
to
a
keep from having to
fashionista-
wash your hair, you'd put on a moldy rubber hat.
It's mold resistant.
It doesn't sound like something a fashionista would wear either.
No, it does not.
8-ton snatch block by Vault. Double the capacity of your winch and recover vehicles with ease. Rugged pulley system to pair with shackles and tree S.
8-ton snatch block. That could be for the ladies too.
It's for all the snow we're getting up here. So you
Kevin-
don't have to wait for the tow truck.
Kevin, double the capacity of your winch.
You talking about my wife? You're
And
triggered for a fight.
double
My
the
winch?
capacity of your wench.
All right. For this one, if Rebecca's parents can just do the earmuffs. Lubricant launcher. Set of 3 anal or vaginal personal lube applicator syringes. Red.
Red. Why does it have to launch?
It does. It comes in several colors.
You were about to
This
say
one was
several
red.
flavors.
That's a different lubricant.
Why would
product.
you need to launch that?
I'm not. It's unclear to me.
Somebody's across the room and
I need another
I did
drink.
not. I didn't Google this to find out any more information.
But I have some very sad news to report at the start of this podcast.
oh no.
Amazon has shut down our affiliates account, which means we no longer have an Amazon link on our website for our listeners to buy stuff where a little tiny piece of their purchase goes to support this podcast. It's not true. Yeah. So we got an email saying that we had somehow violated the terms of service by asking our listeners to support the podcast by using the link, something that would, by the way, that hundreds of other podcasts do the same thing.
Maybe we're just the first of hundreds of podcasts about to be slayed.
I don't know, but I guess our listeners were supposed to just randomly stumble upon our Amazon link and use it. And the email from Amazon said that their decision was immediate and it was non-appealable. And I couldn't even respond to the email that they sent me about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they are Amazon taking over the world, taking names and kicking off podcasts. Wow.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but
Yeah, but Toby, this was your thing, man.
Yeah.
We got to think of a new thing for you to do now.
we'll put out a greatest hits album. And
Hi, Crime Writers On. Happy 200th episode. This is Aaliyah for Pennsylvania. I wanted to call and leave a message and congratulate you and thank you for the 199 amazing episodes. Without you, I wouldn't have discovered some of my favorite podcasts and now friends and laughs that you continue to give us every week. And I hope to be here for 200 more. Keep up the great work. Congratulations. Bye.
Hello, crime writers. This is Jenny in Indiana. I've told you all the time that I love your podcast and that I listen to it a lot, but I thought I would leave a message. I wanted to share my breakdown of my connections of who I see myself as in the crime writer era of people. I tend to agree with Rebecca on a lot of things, but I also agree with Toby a lot of times. So I'm usually kind of in between one of them. I share Laura's obsession with cats, and I have Kevin's inappropriate sense of humor and say inappropriate things all the time. So I think I have a little piece of each crime writer in me.
Hi, this is Labria Bass from Washington, D.C. I am calling to express my love for this podcast. It's one of the oldest podcasts I've been listening to for the longest time. I think you guys do a really good job of transparency, and you guys just have something that other podcasts that are trying to do different analysis of things just don't know how to do yet or don't do it well. I also love Flat Toby. It's great. Just keep being you. Laura Bricker is always, and I'm saying her name wrong, always a light, and she's so funny. But yeah, thank you for doing what you do, and happy 5 years and 200 episodes.
Hi, Crime Writers. This is Katie. I'm calling from Brooklyn. I have been with you all since the beginning because whenever Serial came out, I was desperate for more content and to hear more people talk about it because no one would talk about it with me anymore. And I just wanted to call and say that I think about the time that at the end of the show, whenever everyone was telling their handles, Kevin said, "You can find me at Kevin Peen Flynn," and he was making a callback about a joke earlier in the show, and I think about that probably once a week and laugh to myself. So thank you all for bringing me joy and all of the best recommendations out there. Bye.
Rebecca, I think along the way we've been experimenting with what an informative and entertaining podcast should sound like.
Yes, and to me, that meant bringing not just our voices, but hearing from those who did the work and put some of these podcasts together.
Hey, I'm Amber Hunt. I'm a journalist who hosts the Accused podcast.
And I'm Amanda Rossman, and I produced the Accused podcast.
My name is Dan Taberski, and I am the creator and host and co-producer of Missing Richard Simmons.
So my name is Madeleine Barron, and I'm an investigative reporter at American Public Media, and I'm the lead reporter and host of a new investigative podcast called In the Dark.
Because there's no police department that has that equipment. There's nobody they turn around, they get these DNA samples, and they get them back that day. It's like, no, it takes 6 weeks.
I always think when I look at those rooms, there's a lot of wasted space. It's big, and it's like at a real police department, there'd be all boxes there or something like that.
Hi, I'm Rabia Choudhury, and I am one of the 3 hosts of the podcast Undisclosed. And I am the author of the book Adnan's Story, which was about Adnan Syed and the case that was the center of the Serial podcast a couple years ago.
An Alford plea originates from a 1963 fatal shooting at a bar in North Carolina. Alford was accused of fatally shooting another man, and at his plea hearing, he maintained his innocence despite the fact that the prosecution had 3 witnesses testifying against him.
It seemed that the Army tried to put a gag order on everybody about discussing it, so I think even those people, some of the people that are retired, are a little bit leery about what they can talk about. I was in the Marine Corps, so the Army has can't constrain me.
Hey, crime writers, Patrick Hines here. Okay, so you guys know that I'm completely obsessed with all of you, right? You really need to get restraining orders, each of you. And look, you're the first family of true crime podcasts,
Aww.
Literal podcast royalty. But you guys, we need to have an uncomfortable conversation about thumbs sideways. I mean, what the is that? Here's the thing. We need you to tell us that is a garbage podcast. Really, we're supposed to listen to a guy crawl around under a house for 2 hours? But that we really do need to listen to The Accused. Or that is the worst podcast host in history. But that Dan Taberski really knows how to tell a story, so we need to listen to Missing Richard Simmons. You guys are our North Star. We look to you for guidance and wisdom. I also need Kevin to say there's no there more often, but that's another conversation for another time. So hashtag get rid of thumb sideways. Please, these are uncertain times, you guys. We need you to be strong for all of us. Rebecca girl, call me. Let's be best friends.
My name is Payne Lindsay, and I'm a documentary filmmaker from Atlanta, and I currently host and produce an investigative podcast called Up and Vanished.
Now, Payne, you say in the first episode of the podcast exactly how it is that you started doing that. You sort of, I don't want to say take away all your own credibility, but you basically say, like, I'm not an investigator. I've never done this before. I was just Googling cases and I found this one and it seemed interesting. And then I was sort of sucked into it. I'm curious to know why you set it up that way. I mean, you do have filmmaking experience. Ostensibly, you have done projects before, but why distance yourself from somebody who knows what they're doing right at the outset of the podcast?
I guess initially I said that because I didn't want to seem like I was just posing as an investigative journalist when I'm not. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that I just kind of wanted to be open about it and truthful in the beginning and kind of showed that, I didn't even know if I could do this. So, that was one reason that I chose to say that. And I put some thought into whether or not I should approach it that way. But I was like, I'm just going to be open about this thing and just tell them that, hey, I'm not an investigator and I'm not a podcaster. And, I think people out there that can relate to that, I think.
Is there a reason why we stopped inviting podcasters onto our show right before providing an honest review about the content they were making?
Well, Kevin, there might just have been a turning point.
The podcast is called Someone Knows Something. It's a CBC original true crime production.
Toby, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Is David Ridgen's writing, the way he writes for himself in the show, it's very different from what we hear in other podcasts. What do you think of his style and of the writing of his narration and the way he sort of draws listeners through the story, Toby?
But sometimes the writing does get a little, fancy, for want of a better word. That doesn't really bother me very much, but I don't think that's the strength of the podcast.
Kevin's literally raising his hand to talk right now. He's dying to say something.
Yeah, I agree with Toby, only stronger. When I said that his writing is literary, those things belong in a book because they cannot be said aloud. That is not the way people speak, and that's his voice there really is for a book, and it's not for radio/audio/podcast.
It's not for you.
It's not for anybody. People don't speak like that. All right, and it happens, and this is what Toby's talking about. Every time he introduces us to somebody, it sounds like this. Toby Ball walks into the room. He has salt and pepper hair, mostly salt. He looks like someone who was rejected from his junior high basketball team and is still holding a grudge. It's always that kind of shit, right, Toby? Did I just put? Isn't it that?
Well, you say that Toby is so mean.
It's like that. No, I was just using Toby as an example, obviously, but it's always something like that. It's about how there was the thing about how the dog was looked like he was trying to touch something with his tongue. It borders on self-parody. It really is.
I think Kevin's doing a better job of describing it than I was. Although I think I don't feel quite as strongly as Kevin does.
Really
but you're doing a better job of pointing out what the issue is.
It also is more jarring when you go from something thoughtful and flowery like that to the actual interview part, which is so slow and pedantic, and I can't even hear what they're saying. They're mixing it so low. Maybe I'm the outlier, but I really do not like this podcast.
Wow.
And I was the one, 6 months ago who said, I like this guy. The season 1 is the wrong thing. I'm looking forward to season 2.
Right.
And we got into it, and 9 minutes into episode 1, he finally meets Odette, and he says, well, I'll just record you making the coffee. And I thought to myself, Jesus fucking Christ, here we go again. and that's what it is. And it's a lot of pedantic
it's too slow
talking.
For me.
It's too Laura, I listen to this now at twice the speed and it is still too slow.
Wow. You ready, Kevin?
If you see a faded sign at the side of the road that says 15 miles to the
Love Shack! Love Shack, yeah. I'm heading down the Atlanta highway, looking for the love getaway, headed for the love getaway.
I got me a car, it's as big as a whale, and we're heading on down to the Love Shack. I got me a Chrysler. It seats about 20, so hurry up and bring your jukebox money.
The Love Shack is a little old place.
So what I think I'm hearing is that Crime Writers On isn't just about our reviews and our critical analysis, but that people really like being with us and hearing about the things that we've been doing.
And we are, in fact, always up to something. Baby Love Shack.
So I can tell you just one other thing actually that our listeners could perhaps sound in on.
Okay.
So my husband and I went to our first official Parrot Head Club meeting a few weeks ago.
Right, yeah.
So we went. But the thing is, you get to pick a nickname.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's like roller derby.
Yeah.
So,
But- okay.
like, I need a nickname, and I have no idea. I'm just Laura. I don't know. Brixie, that's what Toby calls me.
Yes,
So
Brixie.
if anyone has an idea for a nickname for me for the Parrot Head Club, I would be much obliged.
I know who to call on. The Bricker Babes. They need to come up with a nickname for
Bricker
you.
Babe, step up to the plate.
Yes, I have the muskrat in our local river under surveillance. Yeah, so I woke up last Wednesday morning. I rolled over. I'm like, God, something's on my stomach. And I was like, oh, it's a tick.
You know, I have some moose meat in my freezer that I'm totally freaked out by, so I'm thinking of taking that. Somebody gave it to us. I'm like, hey, I can pawn this off on the Chili Fest.
You're going to throw something you're freaked out into some pot for the public?
Yeah, they'll eat it.
That is the most.
anything.
That's like the most New Hampshire thing that's ever happened on this
I
podcast.
happen to have some moose meat.
I just happen to have some moose meat in my freezer.
Didn't know what to do with it, so I'm going to give it to the public.
Well, I have to
Laura, how did that chili cook-off with the moose go?
Well, I wasn't able to pass off the moose. And
Oh.
I know. Well, apparently my husband was like, no, it has to be like USDA stamped or something to go into the chili cook-off.
To feed to the public.
That's probably
Yeah.
like giving them tainted meat would probably be bad.
I know. That would have been a real story. So we did not win. There was some shenanigans going on, though.
What?
The people, yeah, there was. So the police officers next to us ran out of chili,
Uh-huh.
and they were putting like Hormel chili in a can in their pot. And then somehow they won. And then somebody made the mistake of letting me have like the fire department megaphone. So
Oh, no, did you call them out?
no, I made up little slogans trying to sell our chili, like, you know, our ladies are hot, but so is our chili, and things like that.
Nice. That's really, really clever, Laura. Very clever.
It's very clever, you know?
And I look up, and Sarah Koenig is standing like 12 feet from where I'm standing, and she's standing by herself. And
Pounce.
well, here's the thing. I hate approaching celebrities, but I knew in that moment that Kevin P. Flynn would freaking murder me if I didn't at least go and try to talk to Sarah Koenig. So I walked up to her and I introduced myself. I led with, I'm Rebecca Lavoie. You might know me because I actually have a podcast about your podcast. And a lot of our listeners who've been to your live events have sent me a photo on Twitter of the screen on which you show the screenshots of all the other podcasts that spun off of your show. My show is one of those. It's called Crime Writers On. It used to be Crime Writers On Serial. And she's lovely. And she looks at me and she's being super polite. And she says, "Oh, are you the one with the typewriter?"
Kevin has a confession.
I do?
Yes, he once called a girl when he was in high school and
Whoa.
played the song.
Where's this coming from?
Oh, this is good.
I think it was junior high.
going.
I think it was 8th grade.
Would you like to tell the story? Because it was you, not me, that happened.
There was a girl.
Yeah.
And thank God nobody from school listens to this podcast because I don't tell anybody about it. There was this girl, and we'll just call her Kay. And
Kay?
It's so embarrassing.
Was her name Maura
Kathy,
Murray?
not Kathy. It was Kathy, not Kathy.
And so I didn't have the courage to like ask her out or anything. So I looked up her telephone number in the telephone book, which was this big book, kids, that we would get delivered to our house.
For free.
For free. And it had a white pages section and a yellow pages section. And I looked up her number and I called. And when she picked up, she said, "This is Kay." And I took the handset from the telephone and I put it down on my tape recorder and I started to play Hello by Lionel Richie.
Nice.
It's a move. It's a move.
Which is, by the way, when you're doing that, a really long song.
Yeah. And you don't know if the person is hung up or not.
Yeah. I was like, do I like wait for the whole chorus to go through, another verse?
The intro is really long.
Oh, no, you just got to go right to the...
Oh, so you had it queued up?
You had to queue up to the first lyric, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and she had hung up by the time
Wow.
Yeah.
When you said I put it down, I wasn't necessarily expecting Lionel Richie to be the next.
All I have to say is, ladies in podcast audience land, back off.
I
He's
know.
all mine.
All over the world, people just went sploosh.
No, they did not. No, they did not.
Now, Toby Ball, he understands that he caused an international incident, and now he is stepping up to take responsibility, and he offers this mea culpa.
So I'm going to read a prepared statement and then not take any questions. I would like to apologize to the people of Ireland for mistakenly referring to Father Ted as a quote-unquote British show. I was carried away with my enthusiasm for Father Ted and Father Dougal and the rest of the gang's antics and spoke without thinking. Moreover, my geographical ignorance was exposed when I stated that Craggy Island was off the coast of Britain, when anyone who can read a map will see that it is off the western coast of Ireland. In penance, I am willing to entertain suggestions for some kind of Irish cultural experience to undertake. Though not Finnegan's Wake, there are some limits. So tweet at me, and I will see what I can do to get back in your good graces. In the meantime, those of you who are listening right as this episode drops, know that I am at this very minute at a Dropkick Murphys concert. They are Irish American, but it is a first step.
I have a special anniversary card for you.
Oh, boy.
I'm so glad I'm here to see this.
Oh, my God.
Read it.
Oh.
You gotta tell
Toby,
Toby.
because you're on Skype, Kevin gave me a card with a picture of Brandon Dassey on it. And when you open it, question, what do you say in the card, Brandon? Answer, happy birthday. Question, no, try again. Answer, Merry Christmas. Question, no. Answer, Happy New Year. Question, no. Answer, Happy Kwanzaa. Question, nope. Answer, Happy Mother's Day. Question, what do you write in a card? Answer, with deepest sympathies. Question, come on, try harder. Answer, Feliz Navidad. Question, what do you say to people who have been married for a long time, Brendan? Answer, congratulations. Question, no. Answer, bon voyage. Question, I'm just going to say it. What do you say to people on their wedding anniversary? Answer, happy anniversary. Good job, Brendan. Now let's book him. Oh, sweetheart, this is so romantic and thoughtful.
That's lovely.
I hope you frame it.
You mean like him?
The reviews are in, and critics around the globe are universally praising our investigative prowess. We recently received a glowing review from the popular podcast Crime Writers Off. Take a listen.
Welcome to Crime Writers Off, the show where we talk about what's new in the true crime world whenever we have time off from professionally writing about crime. We're live every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 24 hours a day, and have been for the past 6 years. Now, today, we're talking about a new podcast, Done Disappeared. What do you think about this podcast, Stephen?
You want to know what I think, Vanessa? I'll tell you what I think. I think Audible is a great service where you can get an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, comedy, and also the Brooklyn and Sheets are the
What
finest.
the hell is going on with Stampy the cat?
Well, Stampy the cat's had a rough run of it the last month or so. So this morning, he's laying on the bed, and my son's like, something's wrong with Stampy's eye. So off to the vet we go, and it was one of those situations where the vet says, you might want to just leave him here for the day. So I go back to pick him up, and I'm like, so what is it? And the vet's like, well, I haven't seen this in a very long time, but I think it's chlamydia.
What?
Has Stampy been hanging out in the dorms at UNH or something?
Well, all I can say is my husband and I were away for 4 days last weekend, and Stampy was inside by himself for 4 days. I don't know what the hell happened here, but clearly something went down in my house.
Wasn't inside by himself.
Well, he was with Zelda. I mean, you know.
Oh, but did you get Zelda checked?
Well, I haven't yet, but she hisses at him every time he goes near her. So I don't know what's been going on here.
Get your stanky VD away from me.
So, yeah,
Wow.
it's been a rough day for Stampy.
Cats get chlamydia.
Apparently they do, in their eye.
In their eye. They are so doing it wrong. That is not how I got chlamydia.
Well, tell us a little little bit about your cats first. We don't really know about your cats. We know about Stampy, right? Yeah. So what are your cats' names, Toby?
Well, you just have to keep in mind the age of my children when they were named. So one of them is Hunter, and he's kind of a fat orange male cat who lies around the house and occasionally attacks his sister. And then the other one is called Littlefoot. She's very fluffy and weighs just about nothing, and she is a killing machine. She just goes out and she just kills. And she's probably twice the size of a squirrel, and she kills squirrels. It's like watching a lion take down an antelope on scale. And so I think it's pets like her.
Damn funniest thing I heard.
That Australia is concerned about.
Right.
Because if you let her loose on a bunch of duck-billed platypus.
Right. There go the quokkas.
Yeah.
It was like, I've never had Miracle Whip. I've never tried it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get one of the small jars. And of course, the big jar was on sale for the same price as the small jar. And I'm like, I'm not stupid, so I got the big jar.
What if I love it?
What if I love it? Then I'm already...
Why not get a whole lot of shit instead of just a little bit of shit?
I can throw out a little bit as much as I can throw out a whole lot. So,
well, Kevin...
So I've never had it.
We are about to change that.
Okay.
Because down here in the studio, we have a little tiny half sandwich on which you have slathered. Did you slather or did you just put like a tiny
I got on
bit?
both sides. Look at it. On that side and that side. It's starting to seep in, though.
We're really branching out.
You ready?
Yeah, okay.
This is some compelling audio right here.
Try the Miracle Whip.
It's kind of tangy.
For the first time.
Yep.
All right. Ready?
Give it a shot.
All right.
Oh, that's a big bite.
So,
Toby, as a Nancy Grace neophyte, let me hear a little bit more about what you think about that program.
Well, they talk about, like newscasters and stuff like, are people comfortable inviting them into your living room at night? And I never quite understood what that was all about until I saw her. And I was just like, what the hell? It'd just be awful to have her physically present right here. So it's crazy.
Can you imagine being the person who works at Microsoft, this multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation that has all of these enterprise products and all this stuff, and it's like, what team do you work on? I work on the Hotmail team.
Oh, but I'm hoping to work my way up to Clippy.
Oh, dear.
Oh my God. Ah, you can't record the show like that.
What's wrong?
Oh, no. Is Kevin stripping?
I'm just going to say this. Have you ever seen Winnie the Pooh?
Nice. Sweater, no pants.
Oh, dear.
Get that 4G camera going.
Oh, yeah, turn the camera on. Then you'll get some questions. You'll get some interaction.
Why are you laughing so hard?
Let me just put it this way.
I've been sitting like this for 5 minutes,
Okay, so without getting too graphic, usually when you see those, they're hanging down. They're not
propped up on a pillow.
They're not sitting. They're not sitting on a chair.
Resting comfortably.
Resting comfortably. And it's just a whole different perspective that, oh my God, I can't even need to.
Where are you sitting exactly?
He's sitting on the stool in the studio, and I looked over at him and I'm like, oh, I saw him take off his jeans, and sometimes he'll sit there in his boxer shorts where we record. So he took off his jeans and we were just chatting, and I looked down and there's nothing there except those.
And I thought the Clippy was going to be the highlight.
Oh, God. It might be.
I know, you were reacting quite strongly to the Clippy comment.
It was because the Clippy joke was a very good... How did you make that joke while you were sitting there with nothing on your...
Wait, he's got no underwear on? Wait a minute.
He took off his underwear.
He was hanging brain.
He's sitting on the stool in our studio with his... and just sitting on the stool with him. It looks like a whole separate person. How did you not get that he wasn't wearing any underwear, Laura?
Well, because I was thinking that maybe he was wearing like boxer shorts and he was sitting in a weird position.
Nope, it's just all out.
Winnie the Pooh does not wear boxer shorts.
It's all out.
Although Winnie the Pooh does not have genitalia either.
He does have hair down there, though.
He does have hair. Oh, dear God.
Well, it's not all fun and games.
No.
No, sometimes it's all games.
I'm not going to play any of the music, but I do want to play a little Name That Tune style game called Is This Song Title Real? Payne Lindsay song or not a Payne Lindsay song?
Okay.
So I'm going to just go round robin style. Okay, ready, Kevin?
Yeah.
Song title, My Life is Amazing. Real or fake?
Well, that sounds like Payne Lindsay.
It's
so
real, yes.
Real, yeah.
Toby, the beer pong anthem. Real or fake?
Absolutely real.
Totally real. Laura Bricker, Drunk as Shit. Real or fake?
I'm going to go with real.
Real. Kevin Flynn, Want to Play Flip Cup. Real or fake?
Real.
Real.
Oh my God. I'm so.
Wow.
Oh God.
Toby, parentheses, your clothes, and parentheses, all over the floor. Real or fake?
I just hope that's real.
It's real. Laura, Drunk on a Tuesday. Real or fake?
I'm going to say fake, but it's probably real.
It's real. Kevin, Spring Break Anthem. Real or fake?
Fake.
Toby, Party Animal. Real or fake?
You didn't tell me.
Oh, no, it's real. Toby,
Jesus
Party Animal.
I'm just going to blindly say it's real. I don't even care what you say.
And finally, Laura Bricker, Party We Don't Want to Work. Real or fake?
Is there any punctuation in that?
No.
Party we don't want to work.
Dumb title. I'm going to say it's real.
And just finally, there's also a song title called Pre-Gaming, which I don't think I mentioned in that list. But all those song titles are real. I want to play a game with my fellow panelists called Crime Writers Against Humanity. Any of you who've played Cards Against Humanity at home might be familiar with the premise of this game. But Kevin, can you call up our lucky volunteer who's going to be helping us out with it?
Leslie's going to help us out.
Yes.
Leslie, come on up.
Yeah. I've never played it, Kevin. I've played Apples to Apples. I've never played this.
That's what this is.
So the point of this game is that we'll all get a prompt, a podcast-related prompt sentence with a blank in it or have to answer it. And on all of these cards are pre-written answers that are weird and filthy and slightly racist.
Oh, my God.
And yeah.
I'm not saying this out loud.
You don't have to.
Wow, Kevin, you really didn't curate these cards. I am not saying some of this shit on my own podcast.
This week's cat of the week is a little tabby named Blank. This week's cat of the week is a little tabby named, Grandpa's Ashes. A little tabby called the Asshole Destroyer 3000. Little tabby named Politics. And a little tabby named Yo Stanky Ass. What has Laura rage walking today? All right, Laura is rage walking. Oh, y'all.
That's why we picked you.
Okay, what has Laura rage walking today? A concerning amount of white people. This boring-ass white bitch from work. Turning poor people against each other so they don't pay attention to economic inequality. And the South rising again. Oh. What does it smell like inside Studio C?
Oh, no.
Wow, Kevin, you did great on these. Oh, that one's good, too. What does it smell like inside Studio C?
Oh, my God. I can't take this game.
Leslie, you are very good at this.
No.
Haven't you done this like at cocktail parties?
No, I've never played
I've never played this either.
Oh, we'll get you this for Christmas.
Oh, this is great. Laura, we should have done this last night. Okay. What does it smell like inside Studio C? Oral? A little taste of penis?
Just a
Good
little.
God, y'all.
Just a little.
My secret butt? Or the primal ball-slapping sex your parents are having right now? That's probably the winner, right?
Yeah.
Don't we think? Yeah. What does Toby dream about at night?
God.
Interrupting women. The end of all life on Earth. Oh, tiny sour kisses from a lemon dwarf. Or a vagina that beatboxes when it's horny. In Crime of the Week, dun, dun, a Florida woman is accused of blank. In Crime of the Week, a Florida woman is accused of bullshit. She's accused of foul vegan shits. Oh my God. A Florida woman is accused of twirling a cane, popping it into my anus, and giving a tip of the top hat. A Florida woman is accused of throwing a man by his big penis.
Oh.
Twirling the cane, right?
This is Merritt Fowler in Lexington, Kentucky. Happy anniversary, Crime Writers! And it seemed like a great opportunity for me to be able to say how much I love and value this show. Like everybody else, I've gotten all of my podcast recommendations and some of my favorite book recommendations from the show. But the real value is from the four of y'all and the friendship in my life. I've got 3 teenage daughters, and the show's really helped me connect with them. As parents of teenagers, you know how wonderful that is, and it's sometimes really hard to come by. My oldest daughter and I play cards and listen to your show, and it gives us a frame of reference for pop culture, and it helps her develop her social justice passions. It's not really about even what you say all the time. It's just a lot about how you say it and being able to relate to you as parents and spouses and friends. So keep up the great work.
Hey, Crime Writers. Happy 200 episodes. My name is Carrie, and I have been listening from the very beginning. I remember when you guys when you took a break from your original episodes, and there was months and months where I didn't know if you were going to come back. And I have listened to every single episode over the years, and sometimes I wonder why I continue to listen, because I'm not really your target audience. I'm a millennial, so when you say, got to get on Facebook and talk to us, I don't even have Facebook. That's what my parents use. I'm also a Christian pastor, and so, Rebecca, the way you speak about Christians makes me so mad. But I continue to come back because there's no other place that I can listen to people talk thoughtfully and intellectually and even playfully about issues that are really important and that matter. And so, happy 200 episodes. I will continue to listen for the next 200.
Hey, Crime Writers On. My name is Kim, and I currently live in East Hampton, New York. I've loved you guys since the beginning when I listened to Serial, and promptly afterwards searched iTunes for anything and everything relating to Serial. And I just love you guys. Yeah, I love all of you. It's like listening to a bunch of my friends. And I think just what you guys are doing is great. Happy 200th episode, and keep it coming.
This is Tara Isaacson. I'm a criminal defense attorney in Salt Lake City, Utah. You've turned me on to so many great shows and things I never would have found, and you've helped me to listen and think about things in a different way and more critically. Super awesome. And my favorite crime writer used to be Toby until he disrespected Dolly Parton, and now he's pretty much dead to me. So I would say Rebecca's my favorite.
Boy, those were fun, but over the past 200 episodes, we have had some ups and downs.
Yes, like the time that Laura's wonderful cat Stampy died after eating a lily. Mm-hmm. And of course, when we had to put our beloved dog Brady down.
Yeah, and there were other times that things hit closer to home.
We just want to share with you guys now. Kevin,
yeah.
We're springing this on you.
Okay, well, as you know, I had surgery for thyroid cancer last month, and I still have cancer, and I need another surgery, which will be in about 2 weeks. And it's not the path we thought we'd be taking, but that's where we're going. It's been, hard having to explain this to my children and my wife and my parents, but I've had such incredible support from our listeners. It's surprising how many of them have had something similar, especially thyroid cancer. And they've been really great about sharing their stories with me. And although I know that this is, the prognosis is excellent, just every time we thought it was one thing, it ended up being something else. And the people who do this every day kept getting fooled. And so, I mean...
it sucks.
Yeah.
Briefly regale us. How was your time in the hospital in the lead-lined room getting your radiation? Did you survive it okay?
I obviously did. It was it was good. I mean, I'll get a body scan in a couple of days, so I'll know definitively if everything worked and where things are. But yeah, I took my my radioactive iodine pill and stayed in the hospital for 2 days. And it's really weird because usually, like when you're in the hospital, you can't get out of bed. That's why you're in the hospital. So to have a whole room to yourself and you're kind of walking around and getting cold food and the nurses are coming to take your vitals, but they're all bound up. Yeah, it was. I loved it. I loved being able to check out. But I want to thank everybody who sent me well wishes, and it's been quite the journey, and hopefully we're going to be near the end.
Low double digits.
Oh my God!
What happened?
I was just using the weed whacker, and I disturbed a ground nest, and looked down, and there was a whole bunch on me. And it's one of those: do you knock them off or do you run? And I started to knock them off, and then saw how many were coming out, so I ran. But I was. It was sort of that crouch run where you're trying to knock them off, but at the same time also run and not fall. And who knows how many cars were driving by while I was doing this.
Sexy dad run is what it was.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome. But yeah, so I got stung a bunch of times.
Wow, yeah, that does sound worse than cancer.
It is. It's somewhere in between cancer and broken bones.
Oh my God. But anyway, I'm so happy that you're doing better just in time.
Thanks. I mean, I'm not doing as poorly as Toby, but...
Yes, with his bee stings. But you're just in time to take care of me in my hour.
Look at I'm 100% serious. I would much rather have to go through thyroid cancer than get stung by a bunch of bees. You know that is my worst fear.
It's true. You're very scared of bees.
I'm so proud of Toby Ball. He's so strong.
What's the color ribbon for bee stings?
He's not that strong now. I could take him, and I can't even run, and I could take Toby right now.
It's yellow. It's yellow belly yellow.
Should we organize a 5K for survivors of bee stings?
Jesus.
Bee sting awareness.
Oh, dear.
Oh. Hey, there are people walking around with EpiPen saying, "That's not fucking funny, Rebecca." But you know what really got us through all those tough times? It was the listeners of this show. They always reach out to us by email, on social media, and they've always been there for us.
Probably never so much, though, Kevin, as when we really needed them to come through.
You mean the time that we went from zeros to heroes?
Discover Pods, the podcast news and blog site, has put out a podcast madness bracket, and we are in it. We are in a podcast bracket, guys.
We made the tourney.
But Kevin and I have a dream, a tourney dream, and that is just to get out of round one.
We just want to advance one round.
We don't think we're going to advance past one round. It's highly unlikely. We're in a very competitive bracket, and we are up against Crime Writers On versus True Crime Garage. So
those guys are good. It's nothing against them, but we really still want to advance.
We're not making it past the next round.
We've convinced people. Now, what do they got to do?
Let's be optimistic. I'm optimistic.
We can beat This American Life in the Daily. No problem. And we said we had one goal, which was to make it past round one. And we were paired against True Crime Garage in round one. And we did it, guys.
We went on, yes.
We have advanced. So we are now unfortunately, up against Crime Town.
Are we up against Crime Town? Oh.
For round 2.
It was good while it lasted.
Good while it lasted,
It was
everybody.
very good while it lasted. Not only did we advance past round 2 of the Discover Pod's Podcast Madness bracket,
Crime Town.
we beat Crime Town, which we thought we had no chance of beating.
Right.
And then we were up against Criminal, and
Which
we were like,
definitely had no chance.
and we beat Criminal, and we are now in the Elite 8.
Yes. So right now the challenge is we have to beat S-Town.
I can't believe you're saying that.
If we have to beat S-Town. I think if we beat S-Town, we could win this whole damn thing.
We not only beat, but washed the floor with S-Town, the greatest podcast produced in the last 3 years.
Toby, did you see the results?
I did.
It was, what was it, Rebecca?
83% to 17%, roughly rounded. Yes.
Oh my God.
I know.
I feel as though S-Town didn't get the word out as effectively as we did.
But you know what? I feel like I'm Aquaman.
You do?
Because it's like, I just like summon fish and point them in a direction. And it's like, hey guys, we need you to do this. So we had like thousands of people like, emailing and voting for us.
Yep.
So,
well, this week we are up against Wine and Crime.
mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be totally honest. I've never listened to Wine and Crime, but this is the point where we get knocked out probably, right? Like maybe?
I don't know. I want to say I trolled, but I tweeted at
Kevin Goldberg.
And it was like, no respects. We're just going to have to win the whole damn thing. Like tongue firmly in cheek. And now I'm kind of like, we might win this whole goddamn thing.
We are in the championship thanks to our listeners who helped us get through the penultimate round, beating Wine and Crime. We are now up against the great granddaddy of all radio shows and podcasts, This American Life. It is the four of us against Ira Glass. It's the four of us against Sarah Koenig. It's the four of us against Ben Calhoun. It's the four of us against David Sedaris. It's
You
the
met
four
Ben
of us.
Calhoun this week.
I did, against Sarah Vowell. It is the four of us against the great granddaddy of all podcasts / radio shows. Reactions. Kevin, what do you think of this development?
I think that they don't know anything about us or about this contest.
True.
But I think that our listeners will rally, boop, 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 and they'll go and vote. Boop, 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 boop.
Probably true as well.
It's been a fun ride. Laura, what do you think of us making the finals of the Podcast Madness Bracket Challenge?
I think that this means if we take it all, the next time you just happen to like bump into Sarah Koenig, she's no longer going to be like, oh, are you the one with the typewriter? Because we will have come up in the world by then.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our little podcast, made in a basement in New Hampshire, beat out This American Life, the greatest radio show in the history of the world. And we are the winners of the inaugural Podcast Madness tournament put on by Discover Pods. We won the whole damn thing.
I can't believe it. We just wanted to get out of the first round.
Yeah, I know. So, let's just survey our fellow podcasters. Toby, thoughts?
I think it's just we got to up our game. If you're not moving forward, you're falling behind or something. Anyway.
Well, we are going to continue moving forward. Thanks so much for listening to our 200th episode of Crime Writers On.
I think this actually might be 203.
You're saying we're cheating?
It was the week thing where this it more or less fit better. I don't know. Just go ahead, keep reading.
As far as we're concerned, it's our 200th episode of Crime Writers On. If you haven't already, check out the special cover art that Kevin's been working on for weeks for this episode. Here's hoping it shows up on your podcast player, but if it doesn't, there's plenty of other places you can check it out. You can check the show notes for a listing of who's who in our little band. Did we cover your favorite clip from the past 200 episodes? Let us know on Twitter and Instagram at Crime Writers On. And I encourage you to join the amazing community in our official Crime Writers On Facebook discussion group. We also have a regular old Facebook page, by the way. Support the show on patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia, and you will get the Crime Writers On After Show, Married with Podcast, Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast, and Laura Bricker's Leave It to Bricker podcast. Our theme song was performed by the New York Ska Jazz Ensemble and used with permission. Additional music from the ubiquitous composers at Blue Dot Sessions. Our line editor for this special episode was Kevin Flynn. Our social media and newsletter maven is fellow Taco Bell stan Meredith Plunkett. And this show was recorded in a yoga loft above the bodega in Bay St. Louis, Mississippi studio, otherwise known as Studio C, the closet in our New Hampshire basement, where Kevin is now required to wear pants at all times. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening to all of those episodes. We will catch you later.
Rebecca, we got a ton of emails.
We did?
Congratulating us on our 200th episode. I just want to read one. Hello. First, love the podcast. Been listening since the beginning. You have even mentioned me in your podcast. I'm the girl that met a guy listening to the podcast in front of Office Depot.
No.
Remember that?
Of course I remember that.
Just an update. We aren't quite right for each other.
Oh.
But we meet for coffee every other week and have gone to a few concerts together. So you've given me hours of listening pleasure and a fun friend to hang out with.
Sounds like they're perfect for each
Thank
other.
you.
That's as friends. That's not amazing. We brought people together.
We're always bringing people together.
Doing the Lord's work.
Partners in Crime Media. Want the same expert advice you get from the pros in the store while shopping online at DiscountTire.com? Meet Treadwell, your personal online tire guide that matches you with the perfect tire for your vehicle. Get your best match in 1 minute or less with Treadwell by Discount Tire.